I am here today talking to Ella. She recently left my Leadership Accelerator Programme and very kindly offered to share a few words on the experience. First of all, what was it that brought you to the programme?
I had recently got a new position at my company. I was made an associate director, which was a senior leadership position. I was quite nervous about becoming a director. I'd had some poor line management experiences in the past, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't emulating bad practice that I'd picked up on the way. So I was really keen to have a bit of guidance and a cushioning as I went into the role.
And what impact would you say it had on either you, your career, your team?
I think it was quite transformative, actually, Kate. It was really helpful in literally every facet of my life. You talk a lot about relationship building and communicating and soft influencing. And it wasn't just within my team where I was able to use those skills, but talking to external stakeholders and my friends and family. I was line managing a few people before I got the role and then had to broaden my line management and team management skills. I could feel myself slipping into practices that weren't the best because I was frustrated and I wanted a good outcome for the team. I think actually being able to have tools to influence the team in a way that was kind of team centric. It wasn't just about what I wanted, it was about how they wanted to be communicated with and how they work. Made me infinitely more effective. It was really helpful to have that, especially early on into the role, to be told about how to delegate, what that actually means. And so being able to not only delegate strategically, but do it in a way that my team understood why I was doing certain kind of tasks and why they were doing certain tasks was helpful. And I also noticed that even my managers were copying things that I would do. I was being the leader I wanted to have. And actually, they ended up mirroring some of my behaviours because they could see it was so effective. So actually, I think it had a really good improvement for the company, I'd like to think.
Nice. Excellent. There was one of the weekly coaching calls where you brought a challenge to the group, and then I did a bit of coaching, and then everybody else chipped in with advice. And then a week later, we all met again, and one of the other members said, "Oh, Ella, how did it go?" How did that feel for you?
That was very nice. You do feel quite lonely being a leader, and that made me feel very seen in a way where I hadn't even thought about it as I went into the call. So for someone to have been so thoughtful, that was really nice, and it kind of made me feel like I have people rooting for me in every room that I go into at work. I'd even find myself being like, oh, I wonder what this person would think of that. Someone gave me some really good advice on the coaching call, and now I've used them. So yeah, that's been really helpful and very powerful for me.
We spoke about how useful it was for you to know that I had walked in your shoes a little bit in terms of being in an agency and being promoted quite young to a senior position. Can you talk to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, I firmly believe no one understands our agency world, Kate, and I really enjoyed hearing about your anecdotes on the call because so much of it spoke to my experiences. I always really wanted to hear more about what you had to say on your agency experience because I think it does make you realize how many agencies go through the same thing, and you particularly understand about having to balance profit with team cohesion and collaboration. And I think that can be quite a difficult challenge for a lot of strategic leaders to have to deal with. So I think having your advice and your very empathetic take on it, super, super helpful.
Fantastic. And what would you say to anybody who's considering joining us on the Leadership Accelerator?
I would say absolutely do it, of course, and be prepared for it to follow you into every part of your life. You're so value driven, and it gives us space and pause to think about our values in the world of work. It really does change how you motivate yourself, how you motivate your team. And I think for anyone that's thinking about joining, you are coming into it with certain ideas of what you want to get out of it, but I think you will get out so much more than what you realize.